You're listening to Who's Tom and Dick, a weekly podcast with your hosts, Martin Weavers, fighting stage 4 lung cancer, and Patrick Mortimer, living with heart disease. Why not grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy the chatter as we discuss and share information, talking about tough subjects, and offering help, support, and motivation with a positive mental attitude.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Who's Tom and Dick, and a happy new year. We're in 2026 already. Where did that time go? January the 2nd today, and we are back. Well, I say we are back. It's a very sad episode, I'm afraid, because I'm not joined by my colleague and co-host Martin today because he's not very well, and he's also got a bout of laryngitis. His wife, Linny, I'm sure, is enjoying the peace and quiet for a little while, but we're wishing him all the best and hope he makes a speedy recovery very soon and can join us back here in the studio next week. So I find myself with a guest this morning, a specialist and one of the top American oncologists, Dr Usifar. Welcome, Dr Usifar, and welcome to Who's Tom and Dick. Thanks for joining us this morning. The first question I have for you, if I may, what should we know about cancer?
If you or someone you love is ever diagnosed with cancer, here are 5 things you need to know. I'm an oncologist, and I've had this day one conversation with countless patients. 1, your diagnosis is important, but the biology of your cancer matters just as much. 2 people with the same cancer can have very different paths. 2, treatment decisions don't need to be rushed. A couple of days to get opinions, organize questions, or just breathe will not change outcomes. 3, you are not doing this alone. Your team's job is to guide you, help explain what's going on, and protect you from misinformation. 4, your job is to stay connected, ask questions, tell your oncologist what's going on with you and what matters most to you so that you can make a plan together that fits your life. 5, take a breath. You don't have to understand everything today. Nobody does. You just need to take the next step. So the day one goal isn't to solve everything. It's to steady the ground beneath you and prepare.
What actually can you do once you've had a diagnosis?
Number 1, bring somebody with you to the appointments. Having another set of eyes and ears to help write down questions and take notes can be a tremendous help. Number 2, ask for copies of reports and scans and sign into the patient portals. This is a great way to keep track of your results and have them handy should you end up seeing a different doctor. Number 3, get a second opinion. Even if the plan doesn't change and you're still on the same treatment after that second opinion, it gives you the confidence you need to know you're on the right path. Number 4, write down your worries, your goals, your questions before each visit with your oncologist. This really ensures that when you're talking to your oncologist, your concerns are addressed. And number 5 is really important. Meet with a financial counselor early. They can estimate your out-of-pocket costs, review your bills and insurance coverage for you, and sometimes save you thousands in unexpected bills.
While we're on 5 tips, perhaps you can give me 5 tips to look for. What changes should you look for in your body to identify possibly cancer?
These are the 5 quiet changes I've seen that sometimes signal trouble. Number 5, how your body looks. So new lumps or bumps or skin changes, especially ones that are firm, growing, or look different from everything else around them. Number 4, how your body works. So persistent changes in bowel or bladder habits, or swallowing that suddenly becomes harder over time. Number 3, how your body feels. Ongoing fatigue, new pain that doesn't have a clear cause, or a cough or hoarse voice that sticks around for weeks. Number 2, how your body heals. Sores, wounds, infections that just don't get better the way they should. And number 1, signals that you can see. Unexplained bleeding in stool, urine, coughing up blood, even small amounts that keep returning, persistent signals that you need to watch for. These signs don't always mean cancer, but ignoring these persistent changes can delay the care that makes a difference.
And what things may raise your risk of developing cancer?
too much desk time. Inactivity and lack of exercise has been shown to be a key risk for several cancers. Number 4, tanning beds or too much sun. UV light doesn't just age your skin, it can cause skin cancers. Number 3, red meats and processed meats. It can increase risk of colon cancer. Number 2, even a small amount of alcohol can raise your risk of cancers, particularly cancers like breast cancer. So cutting out alcohol altogether is best. And number 1, still sneaking that vape or cigarette. We all know that cigarettes can cause lung cancer, but vapes also pack cancer-causing agents called carcinogens.
That's interesting, but we do hear a lot of things that can contribute to cancer. How do you stand on alcohol?
This is particularly important for younger adults, as more and more younger adults are being diagnosed with cancer. So alcohol is clearly linked to at least 7 cancers: mouth, throat, larynx, esophagus, breast, liver, and colorectal. In the US, alcohol-associated cancer deaths have nearly doubled since 1990. A lot of people don't realize that there's an association between alcohol and cancer. And so how much is a drink? Well, it's 0.6 ounces of pure alcohol. That translates into a 12-ounce beer, 5 ounces of wine, 1.5 ounces of spirits. So lower is always safer, but there's no proven protective dose for cancer, and stopping altogether is always best. So here are some practical steps to help you get there. Set some alcohol-free days. Measure your pores. Choose lower ABV options. And if you are at higher risk of cancer for any reason, please consider cutting back or stopping altogether. The big picture is that alcohol is a leading preventable cause of cancer today. Awareness matters, especially for younger adults as cancer rates start to shift.
We live in a very fast and modern world these days. Does stress, we talk a lot about stress, does that cause cancer?
I get this question all the time. We know that chronic stress can affect the body in multiple different ways. It can raise blood pressure, impact your immune system, and impact sleep. But here's the key point. There's no direct evidence that stress can increase cancer risk. It can create conditions in the body that may indirectly increase cancer risk, like reducing the effectiveness of the immune system and promoting inflammation. And then, of course, let's not forget that when people get stressed, it can lead to other unhealthy behaviors like smoking or overeating or alcohol, all of which do increase cancer risk. So no, stress doesn't cause cancer, but managing stress through exercise or mindfulness or therapy is always beneficial.
So this old adage then that, did I cause my cancer, is not true. How do you answer that one?
Cancer is not your fault. Cancer develops because of changes in DNA that cause cells to grow out of control. Sure, sometimes lifestyle plays a role, but more often than not, it's because of genetics and random mutations. I've treated marathon runners who have never smoked a day in their lives and still got cancer. These are people who did all the right things all the time. And of course, there's always the smokers who never get cancer. So yes, there are things you can do to reduce your risk, and you should always do those things. But blame only adds guilt and shame. It doesn't heal and it doesn't help. The truth is, cancer is not punishment. It's not the result of just one bad choice. So if you're living with cancer, just remember, you didn't cause this. Show yourself some compassion, and if there's somebody around you with cancer, show them some compassion as well.
Here in the UK, it's quite difficult to get doctor's appointments. And very often when we do, we tend to say our doctors are not listening to us. What would you say to that?
I want you to know you are not powerless. Whether you're a cancer patient or whether you're seeing a doctor for any other reason, here are 3 important tips that you can do to make sure your concerns are heard. And if you wait until the end, I'll give you one more bonus tip that I think is the most important. First, prepare. Write down questions that you have beforehand to make sure you remember them during the visit. Second, bring someone with you, a family member or a friend or just another set of eyes and ears who can help absorb and maybe ask questions as well. Third, if you feel rush, ask politely, can we slow down for a sec? I didn't quite understand that. Or can we just go over that last point one more time? I want to make sure I get what you're telling me. A good doctor would encourage it. And here's a bonus tip. If you still feel like you don't have enough time with your cancer care team, it's completely okay to get a second opinion. Again, this is something that a good doctor will welcome, having an opinion of somebody else. You deserve to be heard and respected in every visit, and so don't stop until you are heard.
That really is good advice. In the UK, we gauge our cancers by stages 1, 2, 3, and 4. Stage 4 being the worst. Can you tell me a little bit about stage 4?
All it means is that the cancer has spread outside of the organ where it started. That's it. Number 2, it is not a death sentence. Treatment options are getting better day by day. While cure is not always possible, sometimes even patients with stage 4 cancer can be cured. Number 3, even without cure, stage 4 cancer can often be controlled. The key is to set your goals and take things one day at a time.
Why is it then that only some cancers can be cured?
One of the hardest questions I hear, why do some people get cured of cancer, but others don't? So there's a few reasons for this. First, the type of cancer matters. Some cancers respond really well to treatment, while others don't. Second, stage matters. When cancers are diagnosed at an early stage, they're much more likely to be cured than cancers that are diagnosed at a later stage. Third, biology plays a role. Some cancers are aggressive or resistant because of certain mutations that they have or don't have, while others respond amazingly to treatment because of their genetic makeup. And fourth, here are some factors that don't impact whether you are cured or not cured of cancer. It's not about how positive you are or how hard you fight or whether you've done everything quote unquote right. It comes down to the biology of the disease, not the will of the patient. So if you or a loved one have cancer, have some compassion for what that person is going through, or have some compassion for yourself. And how your cancer is doing is not because of who you are as a person. It's because of the biology of the cancer. 3 levels of explaining cancer. Level 1, simple. Cancer is when cells grow out of control and don't stop when they should. Level 2, intermediate. Cancer happens because genes that normally control cell growth get damaged, and those cells' growth and repair gets disrupted. That leads to uncontrolled growth. Level 3, advanced. Mutations affect DNA repair, growth signals, death signals, and even how the immune system recognizes those cells. These cells start to grow uncontrollably, avoid the immune system, and spread to other parts of the body. That's cancer. So the right level of explanation depends on who I'm talking to and how much time I have, and how much that person really wants to know in terms of the details. Bottom line, cancer can sound overwhelming, but at its core, it's just our own cells breaking the rules. When someone hears stage 4 cancer, they often think it's the end of the story, but that's not the whole picture. Stage tells us how far a cancer has spread from where it originally started all the way to elsewhere in the body. That helps us decide on the right treatment approach for the cancer as well. But here's the myth. Stage is not the only indicator of how well somebody is going to do with their cancer treatment. Things like the biology of the tumor, the genetics, the overall health of the patient, these are all important factors. So 2 people with the same cancer in the same stage might, in fact, have very different outcomes. And here's the really important part. Stage 4 does not mean there's no hope. Even with advanced stages of cancer, there are new treatments that are improving survival every year. So the bottom line is stage is important, but it's not the whole story.
There are so many myths and misconceptions about cancer. Is cancer contagious? Can we put that one to bed?
And I want to clear this up once and for all. Cancer is not contagious. You cannot catch it by being around somebody else who has cancer. But some viruses that increase the risk of cancer can be spread. For example, HPV can increase risk of cervical cancer, and hepatitis B or hepatitis C viruses can increase the risk of liver cancer. So if cancer isn't contagious, why do people think it is? In the past, we didn't really understand the link between viruses and cancer. Now we know that the virus is contagious and the virus can cause cancer in certain instances, but the cancer itself is not contagious. And that's why vaccines like the HPV vaccine are so important, because they can decrease the risk of cancer from the virus. So remember, cancer does not spread person to person. What does spread are viruses, and in many instances, we can protect against those viruses.
Again, we talk a lot about side effects, nausea, fatigue, etc., etc. What tips could you give a cancer patient about side effects?
Yes, it's absolutely true that chemotherapy can cause a lot of side effects. The ones that most people know about are fatigue, nausea, hair loss, and particularly for slow-growing cancers, the side effects of chemotherapy can sometimes feel worse than the effects of cancer itself. But here's the thing, untreated cancer doesn't just sit there. It grows, it spreads, and it starts causing symptoms by itself. The more it grows and spreads, the harder it is to treat and the harder it is to cure. And that is, in many cases, more dangerous than chemotherapy. And in many cases, chemotherapy doesn't just shrink tumors, it can control the cancer and help cure the cancer as well, usually as a part of other cancer treatments like surgery or radiation therapy. So, a really important question to ask is not just how bad is the chemo, but what happens if I don't do any anti cancer therapy at all? Ultimately, it's always a personal decision for what you decide because it is your body. But for millions, it's the reason that they're still alive today. The goal is not to make you sick, it's help to control the side effects of chemotherapy and help keep you well overall. So think about taking your anti-nausea medications before the symptoms start. Some of your anti-nausea medications can be taken on a scheduled basis. And if that's the case, check with your cancer team about whether you're on one of those medications right now. Eat small, frequent snacks as opposed to 3 large meals a day. And sip fluids all day as opposed to chugging a bunch of water at once. It'll keep you hydrated, and that decreases nausea as well. Keep a simple nausea log. So write down what you eat, write down which medications you take, and when that happens, whether it improves or worsens your nausea. Talk to your cancer team about those results and see if you can get any insights from it. Really important. If your chemotherapy changes, you might need to be on different or new or additional anti-nausea meds. Make sure you talk to your team about that. And finally, really important red flags. If you can't keep liquids down, if you get lightheaded when you stand up, if there's blood in your vomit, or if you develop a fever, call your care team immediately. So activity beats bed and couch as much as possible. Aim for short daily walks, even if it's inside your house doing laps, and light stretching or maybe chair yoga. Consistency wins here. Think about your energy budget. So the hardest tasks should be saved for when your energy is best. And maybe think about breaking your chores into just 5 or 10-minute goals. Ask your cancer team to check for reversible causes of fatigue, and that could be things related to your thyroid or anemia, medications. Dehydration is a huge one, and poor sleep. So speaking of sleep, sleep basics are really important. Make sure you have a regular schedule, screens off before bed, and I can't say it enough, hydration, hydration, hydration. If you're on cancer treatment and you've got ulcers in your mouth and every bite burns, so when it comes to oral mucositis, sometimes just gentle mouth rinses 4 to 6 times a day with warm salt water can be helpful. Always avoid alcohol-based mouthwashes and try to stick to bland and soft food. So that's things like yogurt or eggs or smoothies. Definitely skip spicy, acidic, really hot, or like sharp, crusty foods like toast. If you do all that and the ulcers in your mouth are still there, you might want to talk to your team about whether there's something prescription-based that you could try. Sometimes people have taste changes from chemotherapy as well. Try cold foods if that's something that you can tolerate. Avoid metal utensils, so try plastic utensils, and see if that helps some of the problems you have with taste changes.
I know you can get a lot of side effects with the medication you take. I get a few with the medication I take for my heart disease. But one side effect we're all aware of is hair loss during chemotherapy. How do you deal with that?
There are certain drugs that commonly cause hair drugs. These are in the class of taxanes or anthracyclines. And these are drugs that are often used for breast cancer, which is why it's very common for patients with breast cancer to lose their hair while they're on treatment. Sometimes that hair loss can happen right away after that first cycle. But for most people, it's about 2 to 3 weeks into treatment. And it's really important to know that typically the hair will grow back after the treatment stops. For some regimens, scalp cooling can help reduce hair loss. It doesn't work for everybody, but check with your cancer team to see if this is right for you or if it's available. And when you're combing your hair, be gentle. Use a wide tooth comb or brush. Avoid extreme heat or tight styles, and protect your scalp from extremes of any temperature, either extreme heat, extreme cold, or sun.
Just for me and the listeners, can you just explain what chemo is?
It's not just as simple as a drug being infused. It's a whole process. Step 1, planning. If your chemotherapy regimen is specific to your cancer type, the cancer stage, the genetics of the tumor, your blood work, other aspects of your overall health. Step 2, prep. Before your first treatment, you get a pretty thorough workup. You get your blood work checked. You might get some imaging or an ultrasound of your heart. Some people get a large catheter placed into their chest. This is called a port. Step 3, infusion. This is when you actually get the drug. So you're sitting in the chair, nurses put an IV catheter into your port or into your arm, and you actually get the drug delivered. This process can last for a half an hour or it can last for many hours depending on how many drugs you're getting and how slowly the drugs have to be infused. While the drug is being administered, nurses watch you very closely for signs of any reactions you might have or any symptoms you might have. Step 4, aftercare. Chemo doesn't stop when the IV does. You'll get medications to go home with that help control your symptoms that you might have, and the treatment team will likely check in on you prior to your next visit. So getting chemotherapy is more than just getting a drug. It's a journey. For many people, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Why is it that cancer can sometimes come back after surgery?
A lot of patients with cancer undergo surgery to take the cancer out, and that's the curative therapy. But despite that, the cancer can still come back. The goal for surgery is to have what's called a clean margin, and that means all of the visible cancer is removed and nothing is left behind. Yet, even with a clean margin, there might still be cancer cells left in the body that are not visible on CT scans or MRIs or PET scans. And that's because those cells might have escaped before surgery, and so are still circulating in the body after surgery. So what can we do to decrease the risk of that cancer coming back or growing again? Well, there are a number of things. Some people receive a period of chemotherapy after surgery. That's sometimes called adjuvant therapy. And the goal of that treatment for 3 months or 6 months or 12 months is to kill whatever cancer cells might still be in the body to decrease the risk of that cancer coming back. The other thing that we can do is watch really closely. And that's why for a period of sometimes up to 5 years, patients get these intermittent scans to watch for any signs of the cancer coming back. The other really important thing to do is to monitor symptoms. And if things start feeling abnormal, report those new symptoms as fast as possible.
So tell me, is there any way we can lower our cancer risk?
So what are the 3 things you should eat? Number 1, whole plant foods and fiber. These are things like beans and lentils and whole grains. High fiber diets are great for reducing your risk of colorectal cancer and help you maintain a healthy weight, which is really important for all cancers. Number 2, colorful fruits and vegetables, especially cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and Brussels sprouts. These are full of vitamins and fiber and plant compounds that are really healthy for long-term protection. Number 3, fish and occasionally nuts. These are sources of healthy fat. They have anti-inflammatory properties that overall support health. So what's one food that you shouldn't eat? Well, a lot of red meat and definitely processed meat. These have been linked to a higher risk of colorectal cancer. So try to keep your red meat consumption down to at most 1 serving per week. So bottom line is there's no real magic food, but if you're eating a plant-forward diet as much as possible with more fish or chicken than red meat, and definitely no processed meat, these are all things that'll help.
You've mentioned that early detection is important. Well, I've seen advertised these full body scans. They're quite costly. Very expensive. Do you think they're worth it? Would they identify issues early on? Should we have one of those regularly?
This sounds like it would give you peace of mind, right? As an oncologist, I can tell you I wish it were that simple. but full body scans are not the shortcut to early detection that people think they are. The idea behind these scans is to catch cancer when it's very small, very early, before it even starts to cause symptoms. But the problem is that these scans can often find things that aren't dangerous, like benign nodules or cysts. But when you see these incidental findings on the scan, now you got to go after them. You've got to get a repeat scan or a biopsy. And that leads to more tests, more stress, more procedures without actually improving survival. In addition, these scans can sometimes miss cancers that we actually need to catch early, like colon cancer or cervical cancer. So what should you do instead? Stick with the proven evidence-based screening tests. So that means mammograms, colonoscopies, pap smears. If you're a smoker, do a CT scan for lung cancer. These are the things that have been shown to save lives. They're targeted, they're reliable, they're based on years of research. So if you're worried about your cancer risk, talk to your doctor, figure out the test that's right for you, but don't be misled by false promises.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for that. Finally, before we go, I'd just like to touch on a point that Martin loves: conspiracies. Can you tell me your view on conspiracy theories around cancer?
There has got to be a conspiracy, because if we can land a rover on Mars, then there is surely a cure for cancer that they're hiding from us, right? Wrong. I get this question all the time. Why haven't we cured cancer? Well, first, cancer is not one disease. It's over 100 different diseases, each with its own stage, its own prognosis, and its own behavior. Two, cancer cells adapt and find ways around treatment. That can cause complications when it comes to curing cancer. And three, we have actually made tremendous progress even in the past 5 years, and there are certain cancers we can cure, particularly when they're caught at an early stage. So I'm not sure we'll ever have one cure for cancer, because it's not one disease. Every day, research and science moves us a step closer to better controlling different cancers and, in some cases, curing them. Until then, what's the best weapon we have? Screening, early detection, and sticking with proven treatments.
So I'm guessing that there's no miracle cures hidden by huge pharmaceutical companies on that basis then.
There isn't one single cure to hide. Cancer is over 100 different diseases, all with different stages and different outcomes. Each has its own biology, and as a result, there's not one single cure. Drug companies don't actually make big money by hiding cures, and here's a perfect example of that: hepatitis C. There are curative drugs for hepatitis C right now, and they are massive blockbusters for the pharmaceutical industry. The real catch is where we spend our money. And what we're doing wrong today is not spending enough on cancer prevention. So yes, we put billions and billions of dollars every year into new drugs, but we put far less into preventing cancer and detecting it early, even though catching cancer early can save millions of lives. So the issue isn't that there's some secret cure that's locked away in a vault somewhere. It's that our priorities don't actually match what would save the most people. It's not a conspiracy. It's a simple fact of where the money is. So the real opportunity is finding cancer earlier, preventing cancer in the first place. We definitely need more investment in early detection and research. That's how we'll save most lives.
Miracle cures. I often read in social media and in the press and local publications that there are such things as miracle cures for cancer, alternative medicines, etc. What's your take on these?
So here are the 5 red flags to watch for. Number 1, if it says it cures all types of cancer, it's a scam. There is no one treatment that is useful for all types of cancer, because remember, every cancer is different. Because remember, there are over 100 different types of cancer, and each one has a different treatment. It sounds too good to be true. It probably is. Number 2, it says doctors are hiding the truth. This is classic manipulation. Real medicine is built on transparency, data, and debate, not conspiracy. Number 3, it only shows personal stories, anecdotes, and no science. Sure, there's one person who maybe benefited, but there's no way for you to validate that. Number 4, it costs money up front. Be cautious if you're being charged hundreds or thousands of dollars without any transparency into what the ingredients are, or how it works, or what is the science behind it. Number 5, it says no side effects. Even effective treatments have side effects. 0 side effects usually means 0 impact.
Bottom line, if you're unsure, bring it to your oncologist and have a discussion about how it could affect you or your cancer treatment.
So I'm guessing if it sounds too good to be true, it most probably is. Just to finish off, can you give me 3 things that you would suggest saying to somebody who is about to face somebody who is suffering from cancer? A friend or colleague or a relative?
Number 1, listen more than you talk. Sometimes the best support is just being present. It might not be offering some advice or asking whether or not they've tried certain treatments. Just listen. Number 2, offer something specific. This is different than saying, let me know if you need help. It's saying, I'll bring dinner on Tuesday. That makes it easier to accept. Want to know the one thing that patients tell me matter the most? Number 3, stick around. Cancer can feel lonely. Support can matter most, sometimes months into treatment, than it does in the first week when everybody is still around.
So I know the answer to this, but I've got to ask it. Can we cure cancer?
First, we have to define cure. In oncology, we often use terms like in remission or no evidence of disease because cure is a very special term that has to be used in a very particular circumstance. But yes, some cancers are curable, particularly cancers that you catch early, like early stage breast cancer, early stage colon cancer, testicular cancer, some leukemias. When caught early, many cancers can be cured. But some cancers are harder to cure, and part of that is because they're often caught later or because they behave a little bit differently and they resist treatment. But here's the good news. Even without a cure, more people are living longer and living better with cancer. And that means for many people, cancer is turning into a chronic illness and not a death sentence. This is really important to understand. So yes, we can cure some cancers, and we're getting better and better at treating cancers every year. So get screened, ask the right questions when you're talking to your oncologist.
What does the word oncologist actually mean?
Oncology is the field of medicine that focuses on cancer, just like cardiology is about the heart and pulmonology is about the lungs. So what's an oncologist? An oncologist is a doctor who focuses on treating patients with cancer and blood disorders. We basically help the patient through their cancer journey. We prescribe anti-cancer medications like chemotherapy, immunotherapy, and targeted therapy. We work with other cancer doctors like radiation oncologists and surgical oncologists as the patient goes through their cancer journey. But here's something people don't realize. A good oncologist doesn't just treat the cancer. A good oncologist focuses on the entire patient and often spends a lot of time interacting with the patient's family members as well. That means helping with symptoms and side effects and helping with some really tough choices and supporting families too.
And finally, what 3 things should every patient know?
Number 1, get to know your oncology nurses, your nurse practitioners, and your physician assistants. They are the unsung heroes of cancer care. Your cancer team's not just your oncologist, and these other team members are there to help answer your questions, help you when you're not feeling well, and make sure that you have everything you need to get through your cancer journey. Number 2, stay hydrated. I cannot tell you how often patients feel unwell, and it's primarily because they're dehydrated. Get 1 large container of water and sip it throughout the day so that way you know exactly how much you've had to drink. Number 3, don't ignore new or worsening symptoms. If you feel that something is not right, call your oncologist, call another member of your care team, and let them know you're having a problem.
Well, thank you for that great advice. And a big, big, big thank you to Dr Usifar for the information he's provided us with today. That's really great. I hope you find that interesting and helpful. Anyway, that's the end of this podcast. I hope I've done a good job for you, Martin. I've been thinking of you all the way through. I'm sure you're getting better with every breath. I know you can't tell me, but there you go. But hopefully you'll be back in the studio ready for next week. We all wish you the very best. Happy New Year to everybody who's listening. Thanks for listening in 2025, and I hope you stay with us in 2026. From me, Patrick, and from Martin, it's goodbye for this week. Bye. Have a great weekend. Bye.
You've been listening to the Who's Tom and Dick podcast with your hosts, Martin Weavers and Patrick Mortimer. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite streaming platform. New episodes are available every Friday. Thanks for tuning in.